American recycling. Also, there'll be a museum devoted to just recycling. It'll just be called a recycling museum, showing Americans how they can recycle and help the environment. So there'll be a thing in the Washington, D.C. called the Environment Museum, which will focus on saving the environment as well. Kids, I decided to go ahead and show you where I met Willie Nelson. This will be the highlight of the show today. I know we have a crazy show. It's more for adults, but if the kids are watching, I try not to use any curse language. I'm sorry. But we are going to check out Billy Bob's, and I'm going to show you exactly where I met Willie Nelson. All right. So there is Billy Bob's. It says BillyBobTexas.com. Bellamy Brothers, October 7th, which probably already passed. Tracy Lawrence passed October 8th. I mean, they didn't pass away, but they already went through. Jackal, October 14th. And then it looks like La Zenda Nortina, October 15th. And they are hiring at Billy Bob's right now. So if you're looking for a career, trust me, they pay more than $20 an hour. They pay really well, depending on the position. But still, ultimately, it's the world's oldest and largest honky-tonk. So it's a very classic place. And there it is right there. That's Billy Bob's. That's where Willie Nelson pretty much started his career. Now, I did meet Willie Nelson. I was about 19 years old, about to turn 20. I was 19. I was still a teenager. But what happened was we did a play about farmers. And great. They're paying, now you have to pay for parking. This is not good. Not good. So that was it. That's Billy Bob's. That's where I met him. And anyway, we met him backstage, back there. And we met him and we shook his hand. I can't go to the area right now that they're asking for parking. But it was in his tour van thing, because musicians travel around in like a tour van. It had like a bathroom, a kitchen, a back room where you could sleep, and a front room, which is like a living room. And this was probably, I don't know if his son was born yet, because I know Micah, is it Micah, has a band called Particle Boy. But anyway, Mike Woolham, Robert Bosquez, Elizabeth George, and John Templin, our drama teacher, were all inside his tour van. And the Fort Worth Star-Telegram was there. And they did a whole report on it. And if you look in the archives of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, you'll see my name, Cole Spivey, and I give a little quotation about farmers, because I'm a big supporter of farmers. Another thing, too, that I'll do as presidency is I'll help the local farmer. That'll be a big thing. But yeah, I met him. I shook his hand. He's like, how y'all doing? He's a real nice guy, real kind of mellow. Didn't have a lot to say. They're from Alaska right there. He didn't have a whole lot to say. But really, he didn't really say anything. He was real quiet. He was one of the most quiet people I've ever met. But really, the thing about Willie Nelson I like him as, this is really cool right here. He's a great actor. That's a cool truck. I mean, I'm sorry, not a truck. It's I don't know what that is. It's a car with a hood. But he's a really good actor. I always thought he was a better actor than musician. Now, I do like some of his songs. I like On the Road Again. That's one of my favorites. We had to sing that in elementary school. I sang it at Florence Elementary. Our principal was a big Willie Nelson fan. I've run into a lot of big Willie Nelson fans. Like Jordan the Lion's a huge Willie Nelson fan. And it's weird because I'm not a real huge fan of his music. Although I do like Mama, Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys is a pretty cool one. But I'm not like, whoa, let's go Willie Nelson all the way. But I do like him as an actor. I think he had incredible acting talent. He was better than Chuck Norris. He was better than all the other Texas actors. I'm trying to think of really if we have any Texas actors really other than Peter Weller and Chuck Norris. Peter Weller played RoboCop. But I think Willie Nelson was probably one of our better Texas actors. Oh, Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, I think he was just as good as Matthew McConaughey. But as a Western actor, I think he was one of the best Western actors that we've ever had. See this movie called Red-Headed Stranger or something like that. Man, was he good in that. It's one of the best Westerns I've ever seen. Really good actor. Pretty good musician, too. I'm trying to move this way right here. But, and also as a vocalist, too. The thing he did with Ray Charles, 7 Spanish Angels. I think he even wrote that. Him and Ray Charles wrote it together. I found a parking spot right over here, but let's see if they already grabbed it. This one's going to take a little bit of time. I think that could just pull all right up here and just kind of get my way kind of thing. It doesn't work that way. But Billy Bob's is really crowded. So his tour van was back behind Billy Bob's, and Fort Worth Star Telegram was there. It was pretty cool. And I was like, hey, Willie. All I did was shook his hand. I didn't really say anything to him really other than shake his hand. And then my friend Mike got to talk with him. He was like, my mom's the biggest Willie Nelson fan of it. She's such a big Willie Nelson fan. And would you please sign this album and all this stuff? He had all these albums. Elizabeth George was like almost in tears. And then Templin was over there just laughing his head off because that's all he ever did. My drama teacher would just laugh and laugh and laugh. Well, we met him, and I can go pick up that Shake Shack and drop it off at your doorstep. She wouldn't let me. Let me see your phone. Let me see your phone. Well, heck, I knew the lady's name. What was I, psychic? Let me see your phone. Let me see your phone. Man, I was trying to get it all in one take. She wouldn't let me, though. Hold, the Bluetooth will kick in. I turned it on the AV off, so it wouldn't kick in. So AV's turned off, so thank goodness. If the AV was on, it would kick in and kick it off. So I want to get everything in one shot. And she was like, I gotta see your phone. Instead of a 10-minute take, now it's split up. It's only a slight second, though. It still counts because the continuation of the sound. So when I have to turn it off and turn it back on, it's a slight interruption in the sound. That's what I didn't want. But she didn't let me. So I was like, well, I know the lady's name, House. Am I gonna know her name? Well, turn it off. Was literally what she was saying. She was saying, you know, let me see your phone, is what she said. So I said, okay. I think that was the meat house that we used to climb up on. One of them connected to it. I think we did that one too. We'd climb up on that one. We'd fry out and climb up on that back in the day when we were teenagers, about 16 or so. I've been coming out here since I was a teenager. This would make a good vlog spot, though. A real good vlog spot. Be a real good vlog spot. But they're buttholes. I mean, they're big time buttholes. And they're like, well, let me see the phone. Let me see the phone. I was like, oh, come on. I almost got a continuous shot. Oh, well, you do the best you can, you know. So I had to turn it off, show her the phone, and then turn everything back on. I guess she thought I was famous or something, practically. Well, I guess I'm probably famous, but by now I'm probably famous. I get an interview with Willie Nelson, I'll be famous. Oh, this is a one-way. The Exchange is actually a one-way. Cowtown is. It's a one-way. Some lady went, nyeh. I was like, I know what that means, bitch. Don't worry about it. Your stuff doesn't smell much better anyway. Nyeh. Yeah, you know what? Why don't you bend over and go, me? I'll show you me. All right. So we're gonna head out the way that we usually go. We're still in the Stockyards now. There's a spaghetti warehouse right there. That's part of the Exchange. So this right here, let me pick this up. That's a spaghetti warehouse. That's where we had our graduation party, the theater department that I belonged to. It was Rob Vasquez, Elizabeth George, Eric the dog, Leslie, Rebecca Coffey. Who else was part of that theater? There was a lot of people. Lucky was part of it. Mark Friedman is probably there. Rob and I gave the speeches, the goodbye speeches. And I said, I was going to Wesleyan. Don't worry, I ain't going to New York yet. I didn't go to New York until about another, let's see, 1993, probably, oh man, like 10 years later. All right. So I think it was probably, I went to New York in 2001. I was there right before September 11th. Arrived in August of 2001. So if I graduated in 93, then it was almost 10 years later. That's when I got to New York. That's where I was planning to go. It took me a while. Let's see. I wanted to go to New York in 93. So I graduated in 93. And then I went to a few different colleges. First, Texas Wesleyan. Then University of North Texas. Then I went to TCC, then back to University of North Texas, a few junior colleges, then back to University of North Texas. Finally, after about 7 years of between Texas Wesleyan and University of North Texas. So Texas Wesleyan was 3 years, UNT was 3 years, and then like a year of summer school. I finally got my bachelor's. Man, it is tough to get. It is very tough to get. I finally got it. I got it at UNT because Texas Wesleyan just wouldn't let me have it. I wasn't a big enough Christian to get it. But I did get it at UNT, University of North Texas, finally. One lady told me to go to Yale for journalism, but I decided to stick with acting. But I met her on the set of Rivers Intervenes. And she was like, why don't you go to Yale? I was like, I might go to Yale. I ended up going to the New School, University of New York. So I guess after I graduated, I guess maybe it was like, let's see, 1993, so almost 8 years. It was almost around 8 years or so. And then I finally got to New York City. and got to the new school in 2001 and stayed there till 2002. Whole world was ending though. And then I had to leave and come back, and then that's when I re-enrolled at UTA for my postgraduate to get my MFA in teaching and education. And I never completed it because I had a falling out with my mom's side because they were moving to Maine. So I almost got it. I need 2 more classes and I would have got that certification. I would be probably a high school teacher right now. So I do consider myself a teacher, but I only taught Trinity Valley for 6 months. And then I taught substitute teaching for about 6 years. It's about substitute teaching 6 years, different school districts like Arlington, HEB, Hearst, Euless, Bedford, Keller, Crowley, a few counties. And I'm currently signed up to be a substitute, another one, but I've got my personal reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm getting threats from the government. The government's threatening me right now. That's why I want to run for presidency, so I can change their minds, so I can tell them and show them how they're wrong, so I can implement plans and bills that will be more just than what Gerald Ford did. I think Gerald Ford was one of our worst presidents. He was a really bad president. He didn't know what he was doing. He screwed a lot of things up in the 70s. That's why Squiggy tried to stop him. She was a part of a Christian group, Charlie Manson. I consider Charlie Manson's group like a Christian group that went wrong. Kind of how David Koresh thing. But I feel that they were a Christian group guided by a guy that had done too many shrooms. The Charlie Manson family. They were mostly a Christian group, but they were guided by shrooms, so they messed up because of drugs. But anyway, that's in the past. But yeah, you know, I mean, teaching's a good thing, you know. I mean, teaching is a good thing. But that was the Stockyards. We're gonna move on. This is green light then. Fort Worth Independent School District, probably one of the best school districts in the nation. Seriously, we're one of the best school districts ever. Taylor Sheridan was educated, one of our most genius Hollywood screenwriters of all time. He was educated by the Fort Worth School District, and so was Charlie Baker, one of our finest actors in Hollywood, who was in Breaking Bad. He also was in El Camino. Worked with him on stage. He's one of the best actors I've ever worked with. He worked on Breaking Bad with Bryan Cranston. Both of these people, Charlie Baker and Taylor Sheridan, are both educated by the Fort Worth School District. The reason why the Fort Worth school districts are superior and better than most all the other school districts is because of our attention to museums. The Kimball Art Museum is world renowned, and so is the Modern Art Museum of Fort Worth. And we have a great base bringing in different cultures like Casa Manana. So Fort Worth is a great place to raise your child and get a good education because they're getting a multicultural education from many different cultures. Not only Spanish, but for every culture. Everything from Hindi, Asian, even Islamic, Jewish. There's a big Jewish community in Fort Worth, Texas as well. Really big one. And Christian too. There's a big Christian community as well. We'll be passing the Modern Art Museum, which I used to live where the Modern Art Museum was. It was called the Darnell Street Apartments. They were a big apartment complex, and they tore it down to build a modern art museum. We're about to pass it here in a minute. And we'll be passing the Modern Art Museum to our right here just in a moment. And I lived there at the Darnell Street Apartments. And this is it right here. They tore down my apartment complex to build this modern art museum right here. They're doing something about the Kimball right now, so the Kimball's a real big thing. Another good reason why the kids are so educated here in Fort Worth is because Casa Manana. It brings in a lot of multicultural plays, stuff from Broadway. So you get a lot of different types of cultures that come through Casa Manana. A lot of theaters in town have been hooked up to Casa Manana, including the outdoor theater, Hip Pocket Theater, which also brings a lot of cultures from everywhere from Brooklyn to Ireland to Duke University has a connection with Hip Pocket Theater. So Hip Pocket Theater, also TCU Christian University, and Arlington, UTA Arlington has a connection with Hip Pocket and Casa Manana. So Casa Manana and Hip Pocket are connected, and it's a big multicultural experience, Fort Worth. And the Stockyards is where all the cultures get together and celebrate being a multicultural celebration. Because multiculturalism is all about celebration. It's about celebrating who you are at that very moment in time. And this is Casa Manana. And don't forget about the botanical gardens. One of the greatest botanical gardens in the nation. Check it out online. It's a great botanical garden. It's also a great place to get married.